Hello and welcome to another episode of What the Haze. This time I'm pleased to have with me one of my friends and colleagues and a great writer and artist, Mr. Eric Zhang.
Thank you, Hayes, for inviting me to this place.
You're welcome. So first of all, Eric, could you just briefly give an overview of maybe yourself as a writer and artist and your work?
Sure, absolutely. Uh, what I do mainly is I'm a concept artist. I also do children's books. I write children's books and I illustrate them as well. That's also I'm an art teacher. That's what I do basically.
Okay, and you mentioned published books.
Yep.
Where have you published, and what kind of things have you published?
So currently I've launched several books. There's a recent one called I Want to Go to the Moon. That's the English version, and several other languages as well, like Turkish and Italian, Dutch, Simplified Chinese, Traditional Chinese, and I mean there's so many languages, like 7 or 8. I can't recall them all. So that's just one book. This is currently, I'd say, a peak of my work so far, and I've done several books before, but I was just illustrating it, so I wasn't
Okay.
the writer at that time.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned publishing in different languages. How do you go about that? Do you do the translating or?
Well, I can only speak 2 languages, so I can, personally, I can edit like English version for sure, and Chinese traditional and English. But for other languages, because I've got several publishing houses, and sometimes they join together to publish books, and they share copyrights. So they have someone like assistant to help me edit the different languages, and that's
Okay.
how it works.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned earlier about you've worked on previous books where you were just the artist. What is the difference between, just being an artist on a book to writing and doing the art?
Oh, I think it's very different. I'd say I definitely would prefer more to become both the writer and the illustrator. I mean, I've always considered myself as a storyteller, no matter in like visually or like verbally. I wish to do like both ways. And sometimes, I mean, in the past, when I firstly stepped into this area, like publishing business, and you get to draw someone else's story, and I mean, to some people it's okay, but like I feel like I have my own stories to talk about. I don't want to draw someone else's stories. I mean, I can draw, but that's not my first option.
Yeah, I totally get that. So what is anything you said you've always been a storyteller? What made you, think about becoming a writer and or an artist?
Oh, that goes. It's a very long time ago. I mean, when I was a kid, I was kind of nerdy at the time. I liked watching films like the Golden Ages films, sci-fi. I mean, all genres of films, and I read books, loads of them. Um, Oliver Twist, the traditional ones, and I think it's maybe started at that time that I wanted to, because I always have like stories going on in my brain. Like I'm always creating like stuff. Maybe I didn't write it out, but like I just thought about it all the time. Maybe that's why I want to be like a storyteller. And after going to art universities, um, I started to try to talk about my story in a different way, like visually. And that's the main way of me presenting myself and also what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sure. No, I totally understand. It's something I've been thinking about recently. When you've been a writer for a long time and someone asks you the question, so why did you become a writer? It's so far in the past.
Hmm.
It's like, I don't know. I've always been a writer. And it's like
Yeah,
sometimes you have to kind of go back and really think, yeah, why did I decide to do that?
yeah,
And then at first I'm like, yeah, because it's like, I said this on Threads once. It's like, for me, it's like breathing. And somebody laughed at me.
uh-huh.
And it's like, you just don't get it.
Yeah,
You know, it's like I've tried actually
yeah,
not to write. I've actually tried to. No, I'm just gonna not write. I'm just gonna do this. But I find for my brain, it's really important. It gives
yeah,
me things to do to occupy my mind. That if I wasn't doing it, it's almost like I wouldn't say being hollow. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's hollowness for
uh-huh.
sure. It's a pointlessness to it, and like I feel like with when I'm writing books, and it's a whole process. Now, I think it's a bit similar to sculpture,
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
I do a first draft usually pretty quickly, but then the editing phase, I'm doing editing right now, and it's chop, 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 and it's like, and I'm thinking all the time, like, wait, does this twist, does this put a down, does it happen too soon? And you start
Uh-huh,
standing out from it, and I find that whole process to be fantastic. Where when you get to the finished product,
uh-huh.
it's a bit like, did I do this? Because it's such an amazing piece of work, whether it gets accepted or not.
Uh-huh.
I always say that about writing. It's probably the same for art. Sometimes you definitely can't guarantee success. But that
Oh, you
doesn't,
you definitely can't.
yeah, but that doesn't mean what you've done is worthless.
Yeah.
It has not only just a little bit of it, it's a tremendous amount of worth.
Uh-huh.
And it's something I always want to transmit on my podcast. It's like, just keep on going.
Yeah.
When I first started writing novels, I was like, just to write a novel in itself is a really great achievement.
Uh-huh.
And if it doesn't become successful, as it hasn't been really, it doesn't mean it's not successful at the same time. You have to kind of choose your barometers of success, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to ask you something else now. So, for the listeners, you're not aware, Eric, you're a Chinese national. Obviously, your first language is Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like for you to write in English?
Uh, well, I mean, English is not my mother tongue for sure, but I started learning English when I was very young, when I was 5 or 6. So it's not that far from me, this language. And I used to read like English poems and novels as well. I mean, at that time, like when I was a teenager, I read it only simply because I was trying to improve my like reading skills and writing skills as well. But I definitely can write English stories, English version. So that shouldn't be a problem to me.
No, no, I don't mean it would be a problem. I was thinking like
Uh huh.
along the lines of like with Chinese being your mother tongue and the culture, the identity.
Uh huh.
Like, is it strange? Does it like, because obviously I'm not Chinese and I write in English, and to me
Mm-hmm.
it comes so natural to me. Is there any, do you think, is there anything you think of that's like, or is it just like I was saying before, is it just like, oh, it's just doing it? Do you think in a deep way at all,
I probably didn't think that deep, or maybe it's because I'm only writing for children. You know, because if you're using a child's tongue, the language is rather simple. Uh, uh, that could be my solution to it.
yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. How did you go about getting published in the first place? Because you sound to me like you're doing pretty well.
I wouldn't say that. I'm still at a very early stage of it. Uh, my first book, I think it was during my undergrads.
Okay.
So I was studying at that time, but I didn't learn like children's literature. That's not. That's when I go to the my master degree. So when I was doing my undergrads, I got this opportunity to produce images for a book, a children's book. It is at that time that I realized, oh, this is something that I could do because I read those words, right? It's rather simple, I think, because I like writing as well. I think maybe I should write instead of just being a illustrator. I can do both ways. So that's the first time I started writing. Uh, I mean, back to your question, that book was 8 years ago. Must be a long time ago. Yeah,
8 years, yeah, it's a long time. You mentioned a bit there about you did a master's degree.
yeah.
What was that in? Sorry.
Oh, I was studying in Goldsmith.
Oh yeah, in
Yeah, yeah,
London, right?
yeah, in
Goldsmith
London.
College.
Yes, South London. I was studying there. The major is called Children's Literature, Children's Book Illustration.
Oh, okay, cool. So I did an MA in creative writing,
Uh huh.
not at Goldsmiths, but what did you so? Cause in my last podcast episode, I went it's quite an in-depth segment
Uh huh.
about MAs,
Yeah.
for the creative writing process.
Uh huh.
How do you feel that helped you, assisted you in your art or your journey?
Oh, you mean my major?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, it's super useful. You were studying in creative writing, right? So when I was doing my master degree, I had a bunch of friends who were studying with, they are studying like creative writing, and we always hang out together. And sometimes I would even go to their lessons to, to take a look.
Yeah, I see. I see.
And we basically uh, we had loads of conversations at the time, like how to write a good story. How can a story be attractive to, instead of being attractive to adults, how can we catch children's attention? Do we need to use like specific words? Like how's the wording? That those kind of questions. I think it's super useful. And I mean, generally speaking, that's a good university. The professors and the staff there, they gave me a lot of like help in both ways, like drawing techniques and
Okay.
also um, the how to how to write a story. So I think it's super useful. And of course it's in London, so you got a lot of opportunities to meet with those publishers and editors. We got loads of opportunities.
Yeah, to be honest, it sounds like it. I did my MA online, and I was in China at the time in
Uh huh.
Beijing, and just contrasting now, yeah, there's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
When I was doing mine online, again, of course, I'm living in Beijing. Limited, I mean, limited doesn't cut it. It's almost
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
Beyond what you're doing in class, there's no like route or exposure
Well,
to
I might have
publishers'
something
notice.
to make you feel better. The tuition is not cheap.
Um, yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's something I commented on my last segment about tuition for
Uh-huh.
MAs. When I did mine, which was, I think I graduated 2014, but it was really finished 2013.
Uh-huh.
And as a result of that, it was back then, it was pretty cheap. It was, I think it was £6,000 or 6.5 or
Uh-huh.
6,200, but now it's got a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
And so if you're a foreigner, like say if you're American, to a good example, in the past, it was a lot cheaper. I mean, a lot cheaper to say just do an online MA
Oh yeah,
in the
totally.
UK. But now I think it's £20,000.
It's definitely beyond that. It's more than 20K for
Yeah,
sure.
it's my issue with that is like a lot of people. Again, when I did my MA, I
Uh-huh.
think I was the youngest, and I was 32,
Uh-huh.
and I think there was a couple of others that might have been 38, 39,
Yeah.
a couple in the 40s, and there's others in their 50s.
Yeah.
And the problem with being in your 50s, you might want to do a creative writing MA to get better, but you don't necessarily want to pay £20,000 because for me, the creative writing MA, I knew straight away it's going to make my writing better, and I'm going to use it in my career. And I was 32,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I literally I got employed by schools, and they literally told me, "We saw the MA, we hired you." I got the money back within a year just from the better job,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
even 6 months. But if you're like 54 or 55, you're not going to go down that route because you have to be honest. It's not unless you maybe know someone that maybe has a college and you can maybe do a bit of teaching for creative writing.
uh-huh.
It's not realistic. So then it's all about improving your writing.
Yeah,
And you will improve your writing, but this is with my MA, and I wasn't the only one that struggled with this, is getting better at writing doesn't mean you're necessarily anymore. You're more publishable, but that doesn't equate necessarily to getting published. And you're talking about, having these publishers and editors.
uh-huh.
It's just what we didn't have. And again, my last podcast episode, I was like, yeah, what we should have done is there should have been at the end of every year,
Mm-hmm.
there should have been a process where, I don't know, a magazine or it could be something like that,
Yeah.
where all our work or some of our work, segments of our work could have been published. But it wasn't. It's all very hindsight. But yeah, maybe it's just because Goldsmiths.
No. I mean, I totally get what you mean, and it happened as well in Ghostman. I recall that when I was doing it, I got several peers that they were my same age. We were like in our 20s, but we also had a student. She's in her 50s, late 50s. She's close to 60. I mean, it's different. It's just different mindset.
Mm.
You go to that college, you were applying for it, and you go to it simply because maybe you want to use it to have a better career and you want to build up your skills. But maybe for I don't know, for those people, they just want to I don't know, learn the creative writing techniques.
Yeah, it's like it's they've not necessarily retired, but it is a kind of semi-retirement in some ways. Maybe in their minds, maybe were you doing it full time? Was she doing it full time?
Yeah, she was doing the full time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah, they might have either been semi-retired.
But like she was
Yeah.
already a very successful writer.
Okay, right, I take your point. I mean, I totally get that as well. And on my course, there was a woman on, and I, she was either very successful or at least emerging successful. I
Uh-huh.
think she'd either won or been nominated for some poetry prizes. And it's like, I think maybe if they do the MA, I think it helps them get like professor jobs
Yes.
at other places. I
Yes.
think that's why they do it.
Yeah.
Because I wondered that. I was like, well, you don't really need to do it. Yeah, it's interesting. I think as well, another thing I'd say is you're in London. And again, I was in Beijing.
Uh-huh.
But London there's a scene for everything. And for like literature and art and writing, creative writing, I just bet it was just exploding with talent
Definitely.
and interest. Sometimes I think like, shouldn't I just go back then? And I don't because, I do like China a lot and I find it very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And always been a bit, it's easy I think it's the wrong thing for me to go back to the UK just for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd go back for other reasons and then I'd try to get involved in, for example, writer workshops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just see about that. Let's go and move on to another question. It's a big thing at the moment.
Okay.
AI.
Oh.
Whether it's AI in art or AI in writing or the whole process, I think it's hard to touch. I think when there's a brief to this, I go on Instagram threads sometimes and I try to get into debates as much as like, what do people think about things and stuff. And like with AI, I think sometimes it's very misconstrued and there's a misconception. Some people are like, AI is a dirty word. You should have no AI in your work. But then I think, but if you give your work to someone else to look at, isn't that a form of AI?
Yeah.
I don't think we should have AI writing. But this is what I'll get your take in a second. My take on this is that there are writers out there that they come up with an idea and they get a team to write it, and you get people that get ghostwriters. So this is already happening. It's just that when it's a computer, it seems to be obviously very wrong, and it is wrong. But I don't disagree with it completely. But what is your take on it, Eric?
I'll speak for. I'll talk about like AI writing first, and then AI art.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, it's quite interesting because like days ago, the first time I tried to use AI to generate like a children's story for myself, and it's very funny because the wording of it doesn't sound like a child's tongue. I mean, it's so fake. Plus, I actually, me personally, I don't like using AI to write because I'm always telling my stories and I want to use my first perspective to, express. So using AI feels like a betrayal of myself. So I'm not sure about others, but maybe some of them they use AI to think about the topics or even wording as well. But that's just how I think of it.
Yeah, for me, for the writing process, I don't think AI should be involved at all. I don't. Listen, I've listened to some podcasts and I've heard some writers. I think it tends to be maybe a lot of non-fiction writers, from what I can tell,
Yeah.
that they write, say, 100,000 words and they give it to an AI and they say, "They make this 50,000 words."
Yeah, yeah.
It seems to be not only common but accepted. I don't agree with that. Where I think AI can be of a tremendous benefit is me as a writer. I find it really hard to market myself because that's not my talent. If that was my talent, I'd be involved in marketing. I'd be doing something like that, but I'm not. And I find that like I've used it actually, admission time, sometimes for the podcast titles. My episode 3, I forgot what it's called now. It's a bit AI.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a trippy, catchy title.
A catchy title, yeah.
And I was like, but the problem is for writers, artists as well, God, we're so busy. I've got 30 seconds to come up with something. And if I can't come up with something, well, then I've got to look after my kid, for example. I've got to teach, anything like that. So I just I wouldn't say it's into the habit. I've just started trying it. And yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes the wording can sound a bit strange. And I think that's why I think in those situations, you also have to be, you can say no.
Yeah.
You can reject it.
I mean, maybe I did it in the wrong way, but like, what's the right way? You just write the whole construction and you throw it to AI and let it fill the rest for you.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound like a success to me.
Yeah, it's not. I think you have to. I think when it comes to the writing content and the planning and the outline as well, you have to do it yourself. For me, that's writing. It's like you go back in time. It's a man or a woman, say for art, they're doing it themselves and they're working out in their own brain. So if we don't do that, as well as the fact it's artificial, what becomes of us? What becomes of our brains? What becomes of our hearts and souls if we just, I came up with an idea, I told the AI to write it, and then the AI writes it. Just say you get a fantastic world publishing, make loads of money, great, but what about you? What you're deluding yourself if you think that's a success. The only thing I will say is, and this is going back at least 10 years, I'd heard of an American author, I won't mention his name, because it might not be true, but I'd read it in a paper that what they did was, they come up with an idea, they give it to the writing team writes it, and then they go, okay, and they're successful, they're really successful. And this is well before AI. And I was like, that's completely fake.
Yeah.
And another one is, another segue is, because you do, obviously, of course, children's writing, children's art. celebrities. There's a lot of celebrities getting into children's writing,
Yeah.
and a lot of those are ghostwritten. But in their minds, they're like, no, I did this, I did it. It's like Trump, for example. You know, what's it called, that book, The Art of the Deal? He didn't write that. But if you hear him talking, he actually believes it. He believes it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to a lot of people. They believe it. But yeah, I think AI, I think it's dangerous. I think for the illustrations, I think it's probably even more dangerous because already, is it ChatGPT, is it 4 or whatever it is, can start to pump out pretty good illustrations. What do you think about that?
Well, speaking of AI generated art, I'd say because I feel like it's not that real and it's not that high quality. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because I'm doing it and I can tell the difference between a real person's artwork and AI generated art. I can easily tell. So I mean, so far the technique is not that advanced. And when you are doing like, let's say, children's book literature, you have to think about the budget. Using AI to generate a book for you, and you have to edit it loads and loads of times. There's a budget behind it, and sometimes publishers and even writers and illustrators wouldn't take the time or something else to spend up. Time is very important. If you're gonna use AI generated artwork to make a book, it's gonna take so much time. Trust me.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about AI, and I was like, so some writers, and I've used them in the past, I'm going to use them in my next book, I use beta readers. So you finish your work, you finish your book, and then you pass it to someone or a few people that you should trust them to give you sound advice. They should be qualified enough to be able to pass comment. There's no point giving a book to someone that doesn't read, because they just everything they say would be worthless. It did cross I did actually look. I asked AI. I asked ChatGPT. I asked DeepSeek. I said, "Can you?" I didn't say edit. I think I said, "Can you like comment on or some words to that description on a novel?" And they said yes, but it's like a few chapters at a time. And I was thinking, like, is that cheating? Like, where's the difference between you've got this organic, sorry, not organic, inorganic machine that would give you feedback based upon the areas you want to look at, and then you've got people who do the same. I haven't done it. I'd have to upgrade. I don't think I will. My worry about that is it's not that it's artificial. I don't think it is, because I think you can be free to. You've got to be able to say no. You've got to be able to say, yeah, thanks for that, ChatGPT, but I don't agree with you, whatever. But I think it's a slippery slope. When you do that, you go, you know what? I really need to catch your first sentence. I just can't find it. Oh, well, why don't I give ChatGPT the first 3 chapters? Give me a killer first sentence. I know right now that the phrasing I agree with you is a bit awkward. I think in a couple of updates time, so ChatGPT 6, whatever, I think it's going to be really close. It's going to be tight. But I think it's interesting. I think it's something that artists and writers are going to have to live with.
Oh, it's definitely a challenge. Yeah, we'll have to live with it.
Make accommodations with as well. I mean, there's another thing as well, as like algorithms. We've had AI for a while, just not at our fingertips, so to speak. Like, we ask ChatGPT now the question, for example, we give it a task, whereas if you go on like Facebook and you say, type in writing, an algorithm brings up certain answers, and we've had that for a while, and that does a lot too. I think as well with like I write typically on my computer, just typing, and if you're on Word, it will suggest corrections, and I don't think all writers do this, but you have to sometimes ignore it. Like, because I'll be honest, sometimes it's obviously wrong, but there's other times you go, well, that's not the effect or the tone I'm trying to kind of hit here. So I think that's the thing. I think writers have to be, and artists have to be very judicious about what they accept and don't accept.
Yeah.
Just want to go back again, Eric, to I touched on this thing about celebrity authors.
Uh-huh.
And there's been a few news articles in the UK about it. And I know like Madonna's a great example. She's published children's books. There's another British comic called David Williams. I think it's David Williams or Williams. He's done it. I think there's loads. What is your take on that? Because it's a big, from my standpoint, my viewpoint, it's quite a big footprint now in the children's writing market. What do you think about that?
Very, very hard to say. I'd say. I think to me, I feel like, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I don't know how to phrase this, but it's okay for them to do it. That's just my opinion, but I wouldn't choose that way.
Well, you wouldn't choose what if you're a celebrity or.
Well, let's say if I become famous someday, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, I take your point. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, my take on this is I think it's a little bit of an extension of their ego. But to be fair to them, I think there's these days I know it's like football players. There's lots of companies around them promoting them, and it might be they just come up with them. Hey, we've got this great idea for a children's book. We've got the ghostwriter.
Yeah.
Not do you want to do it? It might be you have to do it. It's in this small part of the contract you signed with us, so they might not really have a choice. I typically don't like it because I tend to think that people are getting accepted and published based upon this previous or even current career in music, movies, TV shows. So it's there's a lot of writers and artists out there that work exceptionally hard and do not have that kind of luck. And I tend to think that it's crowding it a bit. And I worry that it could become more, but things like young adult literature doesn't seem to have gone much above middle grade. It's because I think to do that, I think if you're a ghostwriter and you were talented, you'd just write your own book.
Yeah, for sure.
I tend to think that. I don't quite know. I mean, I don't quite know why ghostwriters ghostwrite. I get it for like sports. You're writing the autobiography of certain people. I get it why you might do that because you might be a journalist or there might not be any other opportunities for you to get published. But I think if you're a children's like writer and or artist, I'd have thought if you were good enough to do that, why not just do it under your own name? Or maybe they do that later. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it is a difficulty that when a freshman is in this area, that this is a challenge that he or she will face. I don't know, becoming a shadow writer for someone, they might pay you a huge chunk of money, for sure, but there's a sacrifice. You can't just put your name under your book. I feel like to me, because I had years ago, I had this opportunity to make books for someone else. I rejected that offer. They want to pay me really well, but I said no because it just doesn't sound right. I want my name under my work. It's either my work or my book. It doesn't matter. I have to let the public know that I make this. That I think that's the bottom line that I'm holding. And I think all the artists and writers should stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I just, to be fair, when I was thinking about things like this, I always assumed that ghostwriters didn't get paid that much, to
Oh,
be
is
honest.
it?
I,
Uh,
I, I always assumed that you know,
oh, maybe it's because I was just a poor student at the time, so it means a lot to me back then.
if you don't mind me asking, how much are you talking? How much, like,
Oh, a lot of time. It's a lot of money.
is it in the thousands or hundreds of pounds?
Uh, it That money could help me survive 6 months.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I get it. I think if somebody
I
off,
don't have to. I don't have to work at all within 6 months. A lot of money
yeah, I
to me.
get that. I mean, again, I get it. If you're a writer, an artist, and you're doing that, and and you get several, and you can do that for 3, 4 years.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'd feel like half's been done. Would I write a book now if somebody offered me a ghostwriting job?
Uh-huh.
Um, for novels, I have to say no. I think if I was offered a ghostwriting job that was non-fiction,
Hmm.
just say for argument's sake, I'd have to be living in a different country, I think. But just say I'm interviewing someone and
Uh-huh.
I'm getting their interviews and then I write their autobiography. I kind of think that would be interesting for me personally.
Uh-huh.
And I think everybody, the reading public knows that autobiographies are not autobiographies, which is weird. Why don't we call them biographies or fake biographies, whatever? We don't. I think I would do, but at the same time now, I'm working in China. I Right now, it would mean taking, just for argument's sake, that I had someone here that I could interview and write down what they're saying and write the book. That
Hmm.
would mean 6 months to a year of me not writing my own work.
Hmm.
I'd have to get paid a heck of a lot, I think. I don't know. I tend to think like you. But one of the reasons I do these podcasts is when I'm talking about things like this, I start along a certain way of thinking, and then I provide my own counterpoints.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, yeah, but like all my hopes and dreams the last 10 or so years for writing is about me getting one over the line and feeling it as well and
Hmm.
being super super happy. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually and I do believe it will come, but I think it's going to be an anticlimax because I'm just so used to just churning out books. But yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe I'd be worried. Well, we'll see what happens. You get an agent. Okay, great. Might not get published. Oh, you get published. Might not sell well. I think if I got a decent advance,
Yeah.
I'd just pocket that and go, you know what, whatever, man. Whatever. Just we'll see what happens. I mean, and to me personally, I'm just talking now. I'd be happy just getting published a little bit and just getting a. The thing that what I get frustrated about is when I'm looking for literary agents, the ones I prize the most are actually the small ones.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
those are the ones that don't really give me the time of day. The ones that I get the most kind of the best feedback from, the ones where you feel like I was so close there.
Yeah.
The ones where I'm getting personal replies, the ones where they're saying, yeah, even if they'll say it, we'll like your writing, we'll like this, but you're not right for our list. These are the big ones
Yeah.
where I'm like, wow, that's an amazing agency. And you came so close. And that the small ones are the ones that therefore should be accepting you
Hmm.
are just like, no,
Yeah.
no. It was the same when I was doing my poetry, I was sending poems out. And the small magazines were still rejecting me. It was like, if you can't get on the ladder, you can't get on the ladder. It can be very, very frustrating. Um, just want to go back a little bit to like, obviously, you're a published writer and artist. How did you mentioned goldsmiths and you've got in contact with publishers and editors there, which is fantastic.
Hmm.
How did you go about getting what I've not got, getting one as a line? How did you get published?
Um, well, there are several ways of showcasing yourself when you're doing children's book. The first one, of course, you can bring your portfolio, a real one, send it to publishing houses, and let the editors watch, like let them see, basically. That's the first one. And you could also I mean, there's loads and loads of competitions out there, uh, both in China and worldwide. So you can join those competitions, and that's how I did my first book. So I joined this competition. I won a silver prize, and then my book get uh, published. So, and they hooked me up with other publishing houses as well. That's why I got more languages coming out.
That's a really good bit of advice, actually. I hadn't thought about competitions. I've sent poems off to competitions a
Uh huh.
long, long time ago, but for novels, I think what's put me off is there's some competition, maybe even most, and they'll say something like this: you have to pay to enter. I don't mind that,
Uh
but it's
huh.
like just send us the first few chapters. And I'm
Uh
like,
huh.
I don't want to pay to just send my first few chapters. I want to pay to send my whole novel.
Uh
I
huh.
don't mind paying, but it's just that like I'm like I don't know, but it's something I need to look at more. Do you do anything in terms of like marketing yourself or your work?
Um, I don't think me personally, I'm not really good at promoting myself. I mean, of course, I have social accounts that I would just upload my work and talk a bit about myself. But I got uh, basically it's my previous agency and also my publisher that is doing promotion for me, and I'm just behind them. Like I was creating stuff, and they do the heavy lifting for me.
Yeah, that's the thing with heavy lifting.
Because
I,
promoting the stuff is really important, but I'm just saying maybe for an artist or a writer, for one person, it's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work, and I think most writers don't get this. It's not your area of expertise, and you're writing, and you've got a day job.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not.
Yeah, it's not realistic at times to be able to market yourself in the way that a professional working in the industry would. It's I've heard of some like indie authors that are like super successful. They make lots of money,
Uh-huh.
but I think it's um, very very small minority. It's just my impression. I mean, I'm looking at just Threads alone. I mean, there's quite a big writing community on there actually.
Uh-huh.
Maybe like 30, just worldwide. There's at least 30,000 people, probably more. But like most people, like, yay, I sold one book. And they, I mean, the one thing I find I'm a bit, I don't quite like either is we talked about AI, and like there seems to be quite a community of indie authors that when they finish their books, they then send it to an editor
Mm-hmm.
to pay. I mean, a good editor is hundreds of pounds, maybe 1,000, 2,000 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm a bit like. Really, if you're going to sell, I mean, I've done indie publishing myself, and I've sold a few hundred, but the vast majority won't go over 20. And I just think it's a lot of money for something that is not going to get much traction. I'm not entirely convinced that that editor, because if the editor is really good, they're working for a publishing house.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not convinced that, like, I see it on Threads, there's a bunch of people who go, oh, you need an editor? Hire me. I'm probably better than them, just from the experience alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just never, what do you think about that? Do you go down that route of getting an editor, or is that up for the publishing house?
Uh, I think my situation is slightly different from yours because you are writing a chunk of words, right? And I'm just writing for children's book. Normally, it wouldn't require such amount of texts, so I can just do it myself. And of course, I got friends who are editors, so
Right.
it's a way of cheating, I'd say, because I don't have to hire them. I can just say, hey, do you want to check my words and see if some things can be better or not? And that's how I do it.
So just going to just say you send your book off to one of your editor friends,
Uh-huh.
would you? And they say, "Oh, Eric, I think you should do this." Have you ever been in a position where you've gone, "Nah"?
Oh, I had this conversation lots of times, million times. It's very common that you and your editors sometimes you have reversed opinions. She wants to go left and you want to go right. It always happens. And I can recall that there was this storyline that because the protagonist is a small mouth and he wants to go to the moon and he has to do it within 3 days. My explanation is the raining season is coming. That's why he had to leave.
Hmm.
But the editor said something else. Said, "Oh, uh, I can't recall what she said, but I didn't take her suggestion. I insisted. I insisted, and eventually, it's my version, and it worked really well. So sometimes, if you feel like, just trust your gut feeling.
That's a good one. Your gut feelings. I'm going to bring another one in now because when I was doing my MA in workshops, this comes a lot. Somebody will then say, "Okay, Eric, you really believe in this story about the mouse going to the moon, the rainy season's coming." Then somebody says, "Ah, yeah, but Eric, kill your darlings." What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if I have this kind of problem, or if I'm thinking about it, it's always nice to ask uh, different societies, like what do they think?
Hmm.
I mean, I asked loads of friends when I was doing books, uh, what do you think of this part of the narrative? What do you think of construction? Even the wording. So, because I don't consider myself as a professional in writing books, so I'm always being the humble one who's taking when it comes to writing. But of course, I'm gonna insist what I believe in, which is the best for the book. So it's hard to say.
No, I mean, I understand it. I mentioned the kill your darlings because I've been in discussions. I understand what. Have you heard the phrase "kill your darlings"? It's a common one in like writing circles, and it's half of me agrees with it, and the other half feels it's just a catch-all phrase
Mm-hmm.
chucked at people when they've lost an argument. Oh, it's kill your darlings. If you love something, kill your darlings, and I don't necessarily. I get it, and I don't get it at the same time. I've seen. I mean, I've read like poems published in magazines, top magazines in the UK, and I've read them, and I've gone, this has just been edited to death. And because that's in poetry circles, kill your darlings is huge. And so anything that's remotely emotive,
Mm-hmm.
kill your darlings, get rid of it. And so then it gets published. It does get published, to be fair. But you're like, yeah, but it's just so bare. No, like, similes or metaphors, for example. Right, let's go back to, so you're published.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say you've got an agent or you used to have one?
I used to have one. Yeah.
Are you looking for a new one?
Yeah. So recently, I'm applying, looking for a new
Yeah, I imagine you'll get one with the publishing behind you.
one. Uh-huh. I used
Um,
to have a big agency, but I don't think they are planning the best for me
okay,
because I went to this illustration agency, it's not a literature
okay,
agency.
I understand,
Yep.
understand.
Yep. So
Yeah,
it works slightly different.
when everyone rejects me, that's what they say. Yeah, we're just not the best for you. And to be fair, that you have to, as frustrating as it is right
Yeah,
sometimes.
and you know what else they would say to you? Oh, your work is really fantastic, but we have other artists who are doing the similar style. Or it could be writers. We have writers who are doing similar stories. And,
The worst one I had, this is going back a few years, and it was J.K. Rowling's agent. And I can't remember if it's the new one
uh-huh,
or the old one.
uh-huh,
Because she had, when she first got famous, she had a different agent. I think it might have been the second one. I want to say the agent, I mean the agency.
uh-huh.
You know, wouldn't necessarily be that agent. They said about my book, Jack Strong and the Red Giant, yeah, great, really love it. But I don't think children want to read about sci-fi and aliens. I'm like, what? What? And it's like, the thing is with agencies, you can't like answer back. They're not interested. There's no like, you can't, there's no argument you can come up with to convince them. They've made their mind up. They've got the data.
Uh-huh.
And they asked for it. Oh, have you written anything else? Well, I think it was no, no. I was like, yeah, I have. You already rejected that one. And that's really frustrating. And it's something really big. I'd have loved to have been represented by J.K. Rowling's agent, or agency, I should say.
I mean, it could be frustrating because the agents and basically, you think differently. They are thinking about how to promote your book
That's true.
instead
True.
of writing a fet. I'm not saying they don't focus on the quality of a book, but I think making money or promoting themselves is the priority.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the agency, in retrospect, at the time, that's when you had this, what I'd call like an American young adult fiction was coming to the fore. Where was it called? John Green? Is it John Green? You know, where it started, young adult fiction went away from like genre fiction, like sci-fi and wizards. It went towards two kids dying of cancer fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
Everything started to become like that at that time. And so that's where the money was.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the books that were selling. And then you had the dystopian fiction of things like Hunger Games and Twilight, and The Maze Runner was really big at the time. And so my book, which I pitched as Harry Potter in Space,
Uh-huh.
was a different genre,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it is what it is. I do believe in publishing. I do think you need a bit of luck. That's not to say people who get published are lucky. It's just that you just sometimes need to be in the right place at the right time. And that sucks. But you have to think the luck will come. You have to think like that. You can't be bitter.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter. I'm not like a lemon. Right, moving on, just finally. So if there's somebody new starting out, just say they're a new writer or a new artist or a new writer artist, what tip or tips would you give them? Like, if they're like, they say, hey, you know, Mr. Eric, I want to do this, I'm working on a book. What would you say to them?
Uh, I have different suggestions for illustrators and writers, of course. Uh, for the writers, I think you need to get inspired all the time, like get stimulated all the time. Just go out, talk to more people, see more things. I mean, there's nothing gonna come out of your brain if you don't experience anything. I mean, that happens to me, and I mean, it's always happened to me. Uh, because when I'm about to write something, it has to come out of my own experience. I can't write a uh, a fake story. So yeah, just go out and look for more, experience more. And for illustrators, I think we're living in a hard time. I'd say illustrators because we face the challenge of AI generated art, and as you said before, like I don't know. I think for illustrators, you need to have a bit of luck, but that's something you can't control. Uh, be aware of the topic you choose. That's the tip I would give to illustrators. Because sometimes it hits the spot, right? And it just blooms. If it doesn't, you just go silent afterwards. I'd say maybe that's a tip for both illustrators and writers. You have to choose carefully if you are new to the area, to the business, because you don't want to lose the chance of getting your first book launched, right? At least you have to launch one book, then you get the opportunity to launch the second, the third, and the fourth. So think twice when you're writing your first book or drawing your first picture. The topic is very important.
Yeah, if I could join in there, I'd say I'm thinking about when I wrote my first book,
Yeah.
first novel. If there's one thing, if I could give maybe a new writer or maybe myself, I wish I'd taken a bit longer editing the book.
Oh, you know what? It just reminds me that my previous editor, um, when I had a conversation with her on my first book, I mean that book was a wordless book, so it has no text at all. What she said is, "Oh, I think this is a really good book, and the narrative is very strong. Basically, you can just tell the narrative from those images. You don't need words for that. But if you want to sell this book well, I'd say you better add some text." And I took her advice because I'm just a freshman in this business. I don't want myself to be muted afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, listening to what you're saying, I totally agree. I mean, as you were talking about it, I was picturing it in my head, and I was thinking, if I went to a bookstore and I'm flicking through books and I don't see words, even if the art's really good,
Yeah.
I'm more likely not to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a sacrifice and negotiation behind it, because we're talking about people who wants to join the business, right? I mean, just look at those agencies. They have the statistics to show like which book sells and which one don't,
True.
and which genre sells, which genre don't.
True.
Right.
The only like problem I have with that is like what it's like saying there's nobody buys sci-fi books. Well, what if there's no sci-fi books published? It then becomes like it just repeats itself. It's like nobody knew they wanted to listen to the Beatles until the Beatles formed and released a record.
Yeah, that's also true.
And so I think sometimes publishing companies, agents, I understand why they do what they do. I do. But I think sometimes they need to take a chance. I'm always reminded of in the 1980s, like music, there was a lot more music published and recorded. I mean, REM's like first 5 albums barely even registered, but the recording company kept them, and it was only at the 90s with like Shiny Happy People they became big, and already then they were kind of old. And this is the lesson for me, is you never know when that overnight success comes, and maybe they just need time to work on their stuff and work on what's getting published. But I also get it. I do get it from the publisher's point of view, and I get it from the agent's point of view. At the end of the day, it is a business, and they've got to make money, especially if they've got shareholders. Or whether that's on the stock market or whether that's private shareholders. People want to make money; they don't want to make less.
Yeah.
I just think, at times, I feel like, of course, I would say that because I've been close and not close enough. One more thing I was going to say actually is, your point about experience is really fantastic. I think it's something that I think in literary circles is not echoed enough. That to write about life, you've got to experience life. And I'm a big fan of like dialogue. You can't write about dialogue, I think. You can't write good dialogue, great dialogue, if you're not used to talking with people. How can you represent what people say if you're not used to speaking?
Yeah.
And to be fair, Stephen King has made this point in his book on writing.
Yeah.
And I do agree. What your point about experience was a bit like, I don't know if you heard of Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I'm paraphrasing. He said something like, get out of the library and get into the fields. The thing is, we get to decide what are the fields. It could be an actual field, or it can just be a city. It can be getting on the metro. A line that's come into my head recently is, no great novels are written in business class.
Yeah.
All the good work is in coach. Obviously I'm living in China. I found what was very inspiring when I first went to live in Beijing. I go hiking on the Great Wall. And to get there from where I was living, you had to get on the metro. You had to get on these buses. Have you ever been to Beijing?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know the district, I can't pronounce it properly, Huairou?
Yeah.
So you have to get these buses that are very slow and they're packed out with people.
Uh-huh.
But every time I get on one, I'm looking at real Chinese people, not the people on BBC News. And it was just like, for a poet, it was so inspiring. And like, even now, I'm like, you know what? I was talking to someone the other day. I said, like, if you want to know more about China, I was a Chinese student. I said, you want to know more about China, try to not order food.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the restaurant.
Go to the restaurants.
Because you're walking, and then even if you're taking out, because you're waiting and you're observing things, you're smelling things, even if you're not writing, you're learning the culture. You might meet people, you smile, you talk. I find it so powerful. And there was one thing I tried to kind of encourage in your listeners is like, do that. I get it. Not everyone can come to China and everyone can go to London. But you can find, I think, in your own local area, something a bit out of the ordinary. And I think this is actually very pertinent for published authors.
Uh-huh.
I've in the past, and one of my things is I've talked about Stephen King, a big fan of his work, but I don't think his writing is at the same standard. For the last probably 10 books, I've read a few of his books, and he's still, you can tell he's a very, very good writer. I think he's one of the best writers of our generation. But my point is, I always say, I wish, because he's a big fan of writing every day,
mm-hmm.
and I wish Stephen King would stop writing fiction for a year,
mm-hmm.
go travel around China or India and just take notes, and go back, and he would have all these different like ways of living into the horror.
Uh-huh.
You've got
probably a new horror story.
But it doesn't happen.
Uh-huh.
And again, I'll say to Stephen King, he's one of the best writers of all time, and his book Salem's Lot got me into reading.
Mm-hmm.
Like, got me into reading when I was 18, and I owe a tremendous amount to him. Absolutely, I just think like, just one of those things. Like when you're published and you're a multi-millionaire, multi. You still need, and I learned this from someone said this about rock bands. You're a rock band. Like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. It's pure street.
Mm-hmm.
But then you become multi-millionaires. How can you write about the street when you're living in Malibu in a $10 million house?
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you writing about? And so eventually the inspiration goes. And you mentioned about writing and needing a lot of inspiration. And yeah, you do need that.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Right. I think we can. Do you have a final word, Eric, at all?
Just go out and experience more.
Yeah, I'd say go out and experience more. And one thing I would say is it's okay sometimes to write badly, just so long as you do write. What's not okay is, it's okay if you can't write, if you get writer's block, but don't brag about it on social media. It isn't cool. Other people do judge you. It's okay to talk about it and, maybe ask for help, but just to make it look like it's cool, it's not cool. But yeah, everyone out there, thank you so much for listening to Eric.
Thank you.
I have thoroughly enjoyed and I've learned a lot as well, actually, I've got to say. So, see everybody for the next episode, and thank you very much.
See ya.